leaving library now, and it is 1:45 jam night. All right, have a good one, bud. Okay, so I had to get 2 uploads on. It's a good thing I left a little earlier because it took me. Internet was a bit slow. So now to get to the jam night. Have a good one, lad. Don't get eaten alive. Everybody's like suffering with the mosquitoes and black flies. Okay. 7:45. Let's repeat this. Reduce. And we go. And now for my next drink is lights on. Honk at everybody. I got one cousin inside the hall working right now. He's still a young lad. And I got another cousin outside the hall uploading. Better here or there? I guess it's better there. Okay. So, I didn't think it was going to take me that long to upload, but it actually took me a little longer than I thought. Let me clear out that windshield. There we go. And there. So I should get me there to about 8:45. I know last time I was just a tad bit, was it 8:30, 8:20 that I got there? And the list was almost full. I was like, oh dear, like, how did that happen? But then again, it's the time of year, right? Everybody's out and about because it's nicer out. And, yeah, so should be a good night. Heading to the jam night. This will be jam night number 3 this year. But tonight's going to be a special night because tonight I'm playing an instrument on stage. I have not played on stage for over 20 years. Yeah, how old am I? Basically, I'm going to be playing my mandolin tonight. Now, I had a mandolin before that was electric acoustic mandolin. Now, that mandolin I sold to my sister. It was an okay mandolin. It was an Oscar Schmidt mandolin, and it's like low-end instrument, right? Made in China or wherever, and it was okay to use it, but it was not what you would call a really nice playing mandolin. It got the job done. We'll just say that, right? And 3, 2, 1. There was anybody outside there. Oh well. But anyway, doesn't really matter. But all I can tell you is usually when I play the mandolin live, I usually get a good response. Now tonight I'm doing something a little bit on the crazy side, which me do something on the crazy side. Well, that's there's that. But what I'm doing is I'm going to be playing 3 genres of music tonight. And the last song I'm going to do tonight is going to be Coldplay's Clocks. And I rearranged that for the mandolin years ago, and it comes out very well on the mandolin. I've always got good response on that. That's a bit of an older song. When did that song come out? Early 2000s? I forget. It's not even a song that I was a huge fan of. I've always liked it, but it's really trying me on the mandolin. I play it in the key of D minor, technically, or G or D minor. I guess technically it's D minor, but anyway, no, it would be the key of G. Sorry, yeah, you're starting off on a G, but it goes G, D minor, then to C, right, and then there's an F in there. There's always an F in there, right? But anyway, the thing is that that'll be, I guess you would say, your pop, rock kind of song, right? Which was arranged on a piano originally, and now I rearranged it for the mandolin. Then that's the last song I'm going to play tonight. I'm going to see if I can get everybody ticking like a clock tonight. Should be interesting if they'll do it. Depends on how lively the crowd is tonight. I'm not anticipating a super lively crowd tonight because the host is Phil, but it depends who else shows up, right? Phil Jenkins is he's a Beatles guy, but he just does acoustic. So he usually plays, more mellow stuff. He's he's an older guy, white hair, He's a very good musician, no doubt about that. But it's going to be one of those. I guess the speed limit's not enough. That guy going like a madman. Oncoming traffic. And anyway, so the mandolin, however, is a good disguising instrument. The second song I'm going to be playing tonight, the one in the middle, is going to be Old Crow Medicine Show remake, I guess, of Bob Dylan. And I don't know if somebody wrote it before Bob Dylan, but Rock Me Mama, or Wagon Wheel, sorry. Wagon Wheel. It's called Wagon Wheel. And not too many people play it on the mandolin. I've heard a few people play it on the mandolin. One thing I love about doing these jam nights is that it's different than sitting down in your room and perfecting the song and playing it. And then, okay, wow, you can really do a great cover. But when you do it live, and if you can pull it off really great live, and then there's always, like last week, not last week, the week before, last time I went, I was a little sloppy. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought. But these songs, particularly like Clocks, I've been playing that song for over 20 years, really, not every day, but, so I know that one really well, and I played it lots live on the mandolin. A lot of the songs I bring in now, some of these songs I've never played up until a couple of weeks ago, right? And those songs, they always get a little sloppy live if you bring them out too early, like I was saying before. But last time, I couldn't tame myself, and I had to play some metal songs, even though they were acoustic version, right? But yeah, so the second song is Old Crow Medicine Show, Wagon Wheel. And that's I think going to come out really well on the mandolin. Kind of a hicky, hillbilly-ish kind of song. It's not really a bluegrass song the way they do it, but it is kind of bluegrass. Well, they're a bluegrass band that plays it. So, is it a folk song? Is it a bluegrass song? You argue amongst yourselves, right? Depends which version you're listening to. But it gets better than that, because the first song I'm going to do tonight, oh boy, this one's going to be fun. And this one's going to be a heavy metal song, and it's one of the best heavy metal bands ever in history. And of course, I'm talking about Iron Maiden. Yes, I'm going to play an Iron Maiden song tonight. I'm going to play The Trooper on the mandolin. And I think the version I got is pretty good. Will it blow people away, or will it oh my God, what racket is this? You never know what you're going to get, but usually everybody claps anyway. It's just, I'd like to see people really get into it. The problem is this is what happened last time. There was, and I talked about the Japanese guy last time was hilarious. He was so drunk, it was his birthday, and stuff like that. I should have filmed him a little bit because it was really funny. But he was a complete disaster, but he was a funny disaster, like that kind of thing, right? But what happened was you had all these metalheads sitting in the audience, right? But they go up and they play Simon & Garfunkel or Bob Dylan or something like that because they're afraid to play anything aggressive because they think, well, they might, not upset anybody, but people might, they're just not going to like that type of stuff. That's not the one kid after who was playing, again, it shows you how well-rounded metalheads can be. I like Bob Dylan stuff too. But I mean, it's been done to death. You know what I mean? I like doing songs that not too many people have heard you play. And that's what, to me, the jam nights are really for, is testing out songs, see what you're going to add to the list and take away, rather than just going with, well, I know this will work. I know if I play Sweet Caroline, that'll always do good. If I play, Lodi or, Take It Easy, it always does well. Again, I love the Eagles and CCR and stuff like that. But it does well because everybody plays it over and over again. So it's nice to shake it up and do a song that, okay, maybe somebody's never heard before, like the Call of the Mountain one I did the last time. I played it too fast. That was one thing. But I didn't play it bad. I played it fairly well. And the thing that was cool about it was that Like, people are like, oh, that's an interesting, catchy tune. You know what I mean? Like, they were like, wow, that was a catchy tune. What's it called again? You know, like they were humming it. Some people were humming it after the song was over. Like, oh, the mountain. Yeah, that is catchy, man. Who sings that again? And stuff like that. And that's what I like, you know. Like, again, it's always good to play the classics because you'll always get a standing ovation. But then you never get out of your genre. You never get away from playing the set list you've been playing for 25 years. Now, Clocks, the only time I ever played it, I played it once. I know for sure I played it once on the acoustic guitar. Live, that once only. Every other time was on the mandolin. And I used to play it, you know, at different jam nights. Not all the time, because I always try to bring in new stuff, right? But if I did really well at a jam night, some jam nights are kind of funny where you get your 3 songs and you go by the book and everything's good and it is what it is. And then you got the other type of jam nights where, and I've only had this happen to me a couple of times, where you do well enough that the guy coming up after you says, no, let that guy play a couple more. I'll give him my spot. And then, you know, you pull the crowd, is that okay? And they're like, yeah, sure, do it. Play about 3 or 4 more. One night I think I played for I went up, I did my 3, and then 2 or 3 people said, no, let him go up. I want to see what he's going to do. And I end up playing 8 or 10 songs, you know what I mean? That's happened a couple of times. It doesn't happen as often as I would like, but, you know, it doesn't mean I was the best guy there. It just means that they were very interested in what I was playing, which was always fun, right? Where with the mandolin, here's what normally happens to me, and I'm anticipating this possibly happening tonight. I made sure to tune to 8/440 standard. With the mandolin, it's a finicky instrument to tune. You tune that instrument before you leave the house. And then when you leave the house, before you walk into the establishment, you find a nice quiet corner somewhere and you check it for tuning again. And then everything after that, I love this. Everything after that is just like, okay, we're good to go. Because if you have to retune a mandolin on stage, yeah, grab another instrument. It's finicky. It's not that it's hard to tune. It's finicky, and tuning guitars are tricky enough. I forget what the technical term is for it. It's something to do with a sonic decibel range, where the scale length of an instrument, okay, like for example, a bass guitar versus a guitar. They usually, the thicker the string, the longer the scale length has to make it audible to the human ear, to distinguish it from another note. But the longer your scale length gets, the less likely you are to play chords and have them sound good. So short-scaled necks, the chords are always tight sounding, and the decibel range and everything fits in quite well, and you don't have to worry too much, right? And that's a thing. But when you get really ultra short scale ranges, what happens, even with geared tuners, they're really finicky because you have to have them dead on, or else you're like, it's either the instrument is tuned or it's not tuned. It's not like it's slightly tuned, it's like in or out, and it's such a small gap. Where on a guitar, it's like it's almost in tune, it's slightly out, it's slightly in, and now it's perfect, right? Where the mandolin, it's out, it's in. If that makes sense. Anybody that plays mandolin, you know what I'm talking about. Hang on, I've got to get up this big old hill here. Get some speed going. There we go. Clunky transmission on this thing, so every time you got to shift into a different gear, it's like either the RPMs go like crazy high, and then you lose all your speed, and then you got to build it all up again, or it won't downshift and you lose all your speed going up a hill. This thing just tugs along. There's no force on there. Anybody that wants to go fast, they can go around. You know what I mean? But I did put the injector cleaner in this about 2 weeks ago, and the thing is it's so spunky. It's not spunky like race car spunky, but it's spunky as it, like when you get on the flat, it picks up really quick. It's kind of funny. And then when you hit a hill, it just dies down again. I mean, there's over, well, let me read the mileage, 4,325 kilometers on this thing. It's over a 250,000 miles on this thing. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. So when I get there, I'm going to do a quick tuning of the mandolin in here. and hopefully it stayed in enough that it stayed into 440 standard, because what I anticipate tonight is a situation where I'm going to play my set, and someone's going to say, Rex, you want to come up and do some mandolin on the guitar there? While I'm playing the guitar? You know, I'm playing this chord, this chord, this chord, you want to fill in. And a lot, that happens more, like a mandolin player, okay? Well, let me put it into a way you'll understand. If you're a guitar player and you're looking for a band, good luck. You start your own band when you're a guitar player. Why? Because everybody's a guitar player. I mean, there's millions and millions and millions and millions of guitar players. There's probably about 1 billion guitar players on this planet. No shortage. Pick a genre, any genre. We got a guitar player for that. You know what I mean? Now, if you're a guitar player and you pick up the bass, now you're going to be a working musician, because that's what my cousin did. Like, he grew up playing the guitar, and I got a friend right now. He's done the same. He just picked up a bass. I'm thinking of doing the same thing. Everybody's looking for a bass player. Oh, jeez. Are you going to ram me or what? I'm already 10 over, man. But anyway, so everybody's always looking for the bass player, right? It's a rough vehicle. Holy jeez. It's got no fenders. It's got like a wooden box on the back. Oh my god, the axles are crooked. This guy's driving like me. That's a brave man driving that thing. I thought this thing was a jalopy, but that, like, the wheels are like canted to the it's bizarre. That's bizarre. Like, there's no fenders on it either. What the hell? Maybe that's why he's driving like a madman. Doesn't want to get caught with the thing. He's definitely driving like he stole it, that's for sure. But who would steal that? I don't know. I think that's the type of truck you'd leave running with the keys in it, running in the worst parts of town, and somebody would charge you to take it away. You know, whatever. Anyway, as I was getting, so if you know, like my cousin, he became a bass player. I think he may have left the band though, because the Beyond Driven band doesn't seem to. I seen their new promo shots. My cousin's not the bass player. It's some other guy I don't know. So I'm wondering if he quit Beyond Driven, which, you know, they're a fun band, whatever. And I guess hopefully you can see that, but I'm on the highway. I can't play around with that. So if you can see me, great. If you can't, it doesn't matter. It's talking video anyway. But anyway, yeah, so he's out of that. My friend Jamie, him and I have been talking about jamming forever and a day. We used to jam all the time when we were teenagers, right? And he just bought a bass and an amp. Well, he already had the amp. He's got like 20 amps in his basement. Like his dad's a musician. All his uncles were musicians. So it's like, there's all this equipment just lying. I'm sure if the guy cleaned out his bass, you'd find like Jimmy Hoffa's body in a roadie case somewhere. It's just that he's got all this stuff, but he picked up, he's got a Gibson bass amp that he's had forever. And he went and picked up, I think it's a 5-string bass he picked up. Looks like a nice bass. And he's doing that now instead of playing just the guitar, right? So he's going to have more work if he wants. Bass players are always the hard guys to get, you know. And bass players are not so much hard to get, but they're hard to keep. Because if you're a bass player, you get your pick of bands, right? And, a nice Triumph there. You get, you know, when you get a band that's really slow, that doesn't want to get out and gig and stuff like that, you can say, well, sorry guys, like I'm moving on to the next guys. Because, you know, they're playing the same stuff you are, and they're gigging. You know, they're making money. Or even if they're not making money, they're playing live, you know what I mean? And that's the problem I had with my other friend Jason. Actually, his place is just down that way. I love jamming with him, but it's like, we're never going to get out gigging. And my friend Jamie, I mean, I'm not talking bad about him or anything like that, but nice little deer out in the field. You stay out in the field, Mr. Deer, not out on the highway. But we were talking, it's like, yeah, it's just like, I jammed with the guy for a year, and it's like, they want such perfection, but yet they can't commit to a set list. So it's like they don't play very often. Now they've got, you might as well say it's like 5 bands in one. So what happens is you got a situation where the singer, she has a whole set list out, and they know that. I don't know all their songs. I haven't put them all together. Like I don't know what their set list is. You know what I mean? And that's fine. That's fine and dandy. because it wouldn't take long to, like, I jammed with. She's a very good singer, don't get me wrong, but even she doesn't, like, she's not a working musician. She's just, out to the jam. I'm gonna get this camera thing angle working a bit better. There we go, or not. Well, there. By the time it falls down, it should be okay. I'll go the other way. And anyway, yeah. So long story short, he's just going to stay in his garage all the time, and it's like, he's like, well, it doesn't pay. We're going to put $80 of gas into the truck, and for like $100 gig, it's not worth it. And I agree with that. But it's still good to get out and play. But it's like, it's not just going to be you putting the gas in the truck, to move the equipment. You know what I mean? There's going to be, everybody's going to kick in $20. There's 5 of us in the band, whatever. If it's going to be $80 or whatever, we'll just, kick in whatever. I'm good for 20 myself. You know what I mean? And then we can play a whole night and test some set lists. That's an option, right? The other option is just don't play for free. You know what I mean? Like, there are places where you can play where you're going to get paid fairly well, but you have to get out there and play enough to be good at it, right? So I'm going to jam with Jason again at some point, but right now my goal is to be, I've got 3 sets, more like 9 sets ready to go to be a working musician. I just got to find a place to play. And I'm still working on it, still waiting to hear back from people. I got to follow up this week on 2 places. I sent out some emails and talked to some people on the phone. It is really hard to get your foot in the door to get that first gig. I'm still waiting for a gig here, but, I don't like to be pushy either, you know what I mean? Once you play a place live and you do really well, don't worry about the follow-up gig. It's just, when can they fit you in? You know what I mean? Then you're on the radar, and then a lot of times, those bartenders and whatever will recommend you to other bars too. And once you get in, it's work to get in. So don't get discouraged if you can't get a gig right away. I mean, so again, it's very hard to become a working musician. I mean, finding a gig, if you have all your own equipment, your own PA and everything like that, is a lot easier. But to justify the cost of the equipment, because you're not going to be able to just, like, I have a PA, but I can't play a very big venue with that PA. The last place I played, it was okay because it was smaller than the place I'm playing tonight. Sure, it would pay for itself in 10 gigs, at $100 a gig, whatever, all my equipment, all the equipment I'd be using live would virtually almost pay for itself within 20 gigs for sure. And if you get paid a little better, great. My average with that setup with the old bar before it closed down was about 60 a night. One night I made, I think, 160. The next time I played, I got 60. I played for the hat, or the door. Well, not the door, but the hat. And, people just, pass a hat around. You want to donate to the band. Here's the tip jar. Here's some for the waitress. Here's some for the guy singing. And, it was like I was close enough to home that I could wheelbarrow the equipment home, so it didn't matter. But if I have to spend 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks of gas, and have, $1,000 or $1,500 or, $3,000 worth of equipment, a PA, a couple of guitars, whatever, yeah, it's going to take a while to pay that off unless you get some good paying gigs. Now, the good news is the good paying gigs, you don't have to play as many of them because usually the good paying gigs pay well. The problem is everybody, once there's an establishment that hires bands, now you got to compete with every other band out there. Because, it becomes a bottleneck, right? You can play anywhere for just about anywhere for free, but to play and make money, then you got to wait in line, right? So that's why I want to set up a circuit, and I'm hoping that it's going to happen pretty soon. It's going to happen eventually, where it's like, okay, I'll get a gig, and then okay, you can play here every 2 months or once a month or whatever it is. Fine. I thought this place would be my way in, but it might not be. It might take a little bit longer to get, just because, they're already booked up for the entire summer. And they were booked up since January. You know what I mean? So, it's just, now what happens too is also these places, the locals become cliquey as well. So you got one guy that plays there 4 times, 5 times a year, because he's there all the time to get to know him and whatever. And all the new acts, well, you never get in. Which I know that's not necessarily fair, but it's like you got to expect that too, right? So that said, the other thing is to join a band that's already working. This is where the bass player and the mandolin win big. Fiddlers, they can win big too, but you're really in a very limited genre with the fiddle. You're going to be in a country band or a bluegrass band or whatever. Very rarely you're going to be in a rock band. Although, you're now starting to see folk instruments, in the metal genre too, right? So you can get anywhere, but predominantly you're going to be all over the place. Now, mandolins are a little bit different. Even though they're tuned the same as a violin, the thing about the mandolin is, although there's less mandolin players than there are violin players out there, believe it or not everybody's going to be a Bill Monroe. Well, I definitely know Bill Monroe, or Skaggs, or Scruggs, or whatever, Ricky Scruggs, or whatever. There's some, there's some pretty phenomenal players out there. They are few and far between. They're almost all in Nashville. You know what I mean? But they're in a genre. They're in a bluegrass genre. That's it. So when you play mandolin, more from a folk point of view or a crossover genre point of view, you could seem to, especially if it's a band that dabbles a little bit in rock and roll, dabbles a little bit in folk or country, you can do that, and you could also be a solo act with a mandolin. It's very weird playing a whole show with a mandolin. I've only did one show where I did a showcase with the mandolin. I did 8 songs out of the 30, almost all in the first set. Everybody loved it. Whatever, and it got everybody going. Then I went to the guitar after. Acoustic guitar will always have more drive. There's no doubt about that. And the electric guitar obviously has even more drive than that. But the electric guitar is hard to play solo. It really is. It's not an instrument you really hear on. Just a guy playing and singing with the electric. Usually the ones that do are playing, blues or whatever. They got a Telecaster and they're doing some blues. Whatever, some Muddy Waters and Stevie Ray Vaughan and stuff like that. But it's usually a blues genre that they do it. Very rarely you get a folk genre or whatever with just an electric guitar and a singer. It's really, really weird if you see that, which can be a unique experience. I've only seen it twice. I've seen a guy play the acoustic while the other guy plays the electric and stuff like that as a duel. I've seen that many times. But acoustic by itself, oh, wow. What the hell's that on the road? That could have been bad. Who knows what was in there? A bag or something. But was it a bag or a body? I don't know. So anyway, it's there you go. You got a situation where you can play the acoustic guitar as a solo instrument with just your vocals and the acoustic, but you could also get away with it with the mandolin. That's very, very cool. I love the idea of being able to play multiple instruments. The only instruments I'm not really good at, which I will be whenever my finances get back to a reasonable thing, one of the things I'm going to do is start picking up all kinds of instruments. If I can't buy them, I'm going to start renting them. I want to do a gig with a stand-up bass. I think that would be unique. My next genre to peel into is to basically, I know not everybody likes my violin stuff, but I'm starting to be able to play and sing with the violin at the same time. And I play more like chords and stuff like that, rather than just shredding on the violin, because I'm not that good yet. I'd be okay playing along with somebody else, but whatever. I'm going to need a lot of practice, and I will be doing that. I got the Rasputin song down pretty good on the violin, to the point where I can sing it, play it, and put a big theatrical thing along the lines of that. The songs I want to learn on the violin while playing and singing, and you can search them out yourself, and they're going to be solo. So you have to rearrange whenever you do an instrument solo. especially if you're taking from a band that has, a 4, 5, 6-piece, 8-piece band. Obviously, you can't fit every part in there on one instrument. It's just not possible, right? But you can do some pretty interesting things. And what I want to do is basically do a bunch of metal tunes, so to speak. A band I'm really flipping out and just really loving right now. They've been around since 1997, but I think they only made it big in about 10 years ago, called Teepublic. They're a metal band from Finland, and they do a song called, well, I'll introduce it like this. It's time to get out your beers. It's time to go dancing. It's time to go to the medieval court. In the court, it's Yazif. And it's this metal version of like a bohemian Renaissance drinking song. And it just ends, it's just so good. And the way they do it, I'm like, if I could pull that off on a violin by itself, singing that and doing that la 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 la, like getting everybody all crazy on that would be really, really, really fun. I just don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll be practicing that for months to get it to showcase it, right? The next two is all the Rah Rah Rasputin. I might be able to showcase that one in about a week or two with my electric violin, right? Play and sing at the same time, which gives it a really interesting dynamic. And then there's another song they got called 10 More Miles. The video is awesome. It's a little gory because it's a Viking raid on a village about them stealing a sword and, basically preying on the weak and, regretting, abuse of power and stuff. It's a really good song. The lyrics are fantastic, everything like that. And it's called 10 More Miles. And I want to do that on the violin. And if I could squeeze in another one from Teresa's is battle metal. Yes, I want to do battle metal on the violin, singing and playing at the same time. And I want the audience to sing along. When I yell battle, they yell metal! And again, just go watch the band. Like, they have, it's about 10 years ago, they played some festival during the day. And it's like, it's so good. It's just so good. And I'm like, this band I would love to see these guys live. They still play to this day. They've had a bit of a lineup change. I mean, they've got a new fiddler. They got a new, they went through a couple of accordion players. Yeah, metal accordion players. Yeah. It's a crazy band. But anyway, I could see myself doing like their covers of their tunes on stage live. Now you say, well, Rich, what about all these originals and stuff that you're talking about writing? I'm still working on that. I've got 4 songs ready to go. I just got to finalize what the lyrics are going to be. Some of the songs, some of them are rewritten songs from over a decade ago, or maybe even almost 15 years ago. And I'll release those probably within the month or two. And, I don't rush things. It comes out as it comes out. As far as my second album, the SG-61 Intergalactic Mega Blaster, it's all like short little instrumental. I mean like a lot of these little instrumentals, like a minute and a half. I can see these becoming like movie themes or like commercials and stuff like that. They will be released as an album, although it's not, there's no singing, it's just guitar, my SG-61 reissue, soloing over a rhythm guitar and stuff like that. But the next one is going to be like acoustic guitar lyrics. Mandolin's going to be in there. There's going to be violin in there. There's going to be everything. The only instrument that I really have to get is I can simulate the bass in my recording studio. My home recording studio is like a VR1200. I've had it since 2005 or 2006. It's a digital recording studio, so there's a lot of effects and everything in it that I can use, right? And what I'm going to do with that, I don't have to go out and buy a bass right away, because I can turn my guitar into a bass in there. It's an artificial sound, but it does sound pretty good. Like, it's not, as long as the song is played well, you're going to get a recording engineer saying, oh, that's cheap, he's just using synthesized sounds and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Meanwhile, the guy's in like $250,000 studio, and then he's wondering why your $1,000 piece of shit doesn't sound the same. You know, like, there's always people like that. You know what I mean? Like, they just, like, okay, work with what you got, okay? That's what I'm doing, you know? What's going to sell the song is the song. The recording production, that's for connoisseurs. It's kind of like tonal qualities of a guitar. Like I said, music is always from within. The instrument is the tool, and the quality of the instrument is the icing on the cake. If you're playing a $100 guitar and you're playing spectacularly well, people in the audience, most non-musicians are not going to really differentiate unless they're side by side with a really great sounding guitar. They're going to just be more focused on the fact that you're playing well rather than what instrument you're actually playing. You know, so don't get too caught up on the I need $1 million studio. You know, work with what you got. Now, you will be limited when you don't have the $1 million studio, obviously, but it doesn't mean you can't get a good production, a good sound out of a cheap system, a cheaper system. And cheaper doesn't mean no good. It just means some things might not be automated. You might not have as much variation or adjustments that you can make. So you have to maybe get the raw sound a little bit more rich and more tonally correct, so that you can, you know, make up for the shortcomings of the recording system. Which, when you have a good quality guitar, this will do this. But like I say, it's one of those things that, yes, I am going to be doing originals. I have played some of my own originals live. I don't play too many originals live. And some of the originals I used to do, I lost the lyrics for, and I can't remember what I wrote. And on my older computers, I even lost some of years ago when my mom was around, she had one computer that crashed, and it had all my recorded songs and demos on there. And I remember some of the names of the songs, but can I remember the lyrics? No. And the CDs that I had, you know, backed it up on, don't play in some of my newer computers. You know, like my newer, well, it's not new. My new computer is 10 years old. You know, believe it or not. Well, just about 10 years old, anyway. So it's one of those things where I lost stuff, right? But the good news is that I can keep master copies, but also too, you can upload things to the cloud now. Back then, you couldn't. You know what I mean? You couldn't get a decent sound out of things. But now, like, I'm on Nimbit. You know, Nimbit's my new CD baby, because my CD baby, the problem with it is I lost the freaking password to it when one of my emails collapsed. And, well, not collapsed, but for some reason there was an email I had for like a decade, and all of a sudden one day MSN decided I can't have that email anymore, and it locked me out. And you think I could remember what the freaking password was? And I'm sure I had the password right. I think it's just I didn't use the email every day, and I think I went over a couple of months without using it. And of course they probably say, "Oh, this is a dead account," and it's gone. Which had my passwords to everything. It had emails of friends and stuff like that. I lost it all, you know what I mean? So now I back everything up, you know. And, you know, I learned the lesson the hard way. I mean, nobody really did blame but myself for trusting the technology, stuff like that. But the thing is that there's a lot of stuff coming out. The Nimbit, I don't imagine I'll make $1 million off there. But it's a line in the water, and if somebody wants to go listen to my songs, they can listen to the song for free. And if they like it, then they can purchase it as a single, or they can purchase it as a a complete album, whichever suits their fancy. If they want to support, you know, my music career, I'd really, really appreciate that. But I'm not looking at it as, okay, you know, here's a little 10-second snippet, buy it or don't buy it. I'm not looking at it. It's like, go enjoy it. If you like it, you know, help the creativity, you know. It would be nice to be able to be supported as a musician. It would really be, but it's hard. It's hard. Even if you're a damn good musician, and I'm not saying I'm a great musician. I'm a good musician. I'm not a great musician. I'm a good musician. It depends where you put me. If you're going to put me as a solo artist, doing my own songs, yeah, it sounds spectacular. Why? Because I'm not trying to mimic anybody else. I'm just doing my own thing. Everybody always plays their own songs the best, right? Well, sometimes people come along and do your song better than you did, but but you get what I'm getting at. Is that it's not a situation where you're going to be, worried about, oh, do I sound as good as somebody else? It's like, no, I wrote the song, here's how it sounds. If somebody does a retake on it a few years down the road, that's fine, whatever. I mean, to me, I'd be flattered. Even if they were mocking it, I wouldn't care. It's like, okay, well, whatever. But if they make more money on it than I do, then I'd like to have a little bit of a cut. At least, you made money on my song. Okay, share the wealth, pong me a couple of bucks. I'm not saying you have to, give me half the income or whatever, but just as a show of appreciation. When Tesla did Signs from the 5-Man Electrical Jam, it put that band on the map. And that band was around for like 20 years before these guys, or 30 years before these guys. And, because of that, yes, Tesla made money off of that song. There's no doubt about that. But so did the other guys. They made money off of Tesla popularizing their song for them. That's kind of nice. You know what I mean? And, you can do stuff like that. Again, share the wealth, share the creativity. I'm a big fan of backing the arts and musicians and stuff like that to a degree when it's earned. Like a lot of stuff is not earned. Like, you take like all these top pop stars, without the financial backing and all the distributing they get, nobody would know who they are. There's bands that are so much better than they are, and I'm not saying that as, oh, well, these guys suck. But I'm saying that there's always somebody better, no matter how good you are. There's people that sing better live than you can polish in the studio. And you will see these people, and you'll be like, how is this person still working a 9-to-5 job? And not a millionaire. Well, maybe they didn't have the correct image. Maybe they didn't get the promotion. Maybe they didn't, maybe they got passed by, one way or another. So that happens, that happens to most musicians. Most musicians aren't successful. That's just reality. But it is also a job, and you have to treat it as such. You got to book things. You've got to be persistent to get into the game. You got to invest a lot of money. You got to invest a ton of time. You can buy a cheap instrument and get good with it. By cheap, I'm not saying junk. Like an inexpensive instrument doesn't necessarily mean cheap. If it plays well and it just doesn't have the greatest sound quality, as long as it plays well and you can play it to the best of your ability and get the most out of that instrument, it's good enough. You know what I mean? To get most people going. And then if you have a little more dough later on and you want to invest in a better instrument, by all means do so. It's not like it's not going to get used. You know what I mean? So you get, and I used to think about it like that too, where it's like, I can't justify buying a guitar at this, I could justify buying a guitar that was this price, and that was professional enough, but your dream guitar was way too out of range, and it was almost double the price, so I couldn't justify it because of I'm not making any money with it, whatever. But like, am I going to play the damn thing every day of my life? Just about. And that's why I say, buy what you can afford, but don't be afraid to upgrade, and don't feel guilt about, obviously, you got to take care of your priorities and all that stuff. And you got to, pay your bills and all that stuff before you splurge on, top-end instruments and stuff like that. But it's not like you're not going to use those instruments. You know what I mean? Like, the guy who's just learning how to play guitar goes out and buys an $8,000 Les Paul. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, yes, you got a nice wall hanger. But, when you learn how to play it, then, and you're going to stick with it, then splurge on the more expensive instrument. This is what I usually do with my secondary instruments, is I don't buy the state-of-the-art instrument. I buy, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? Still green, still green, still green, still green, still green, still green. I got this one. Aha! Have to wait at the light. Now it held me up for a whole 45 seconds there. I'm bad. But anyway, as I'm pretty much in Wakefield now. And yeah, I'm really excited about tonight, playing the mandolin. I was going to do it the next time out. I guess maybe I have a bit of OCD or autistic or whatever. And so I mean, if that's the least of my problems, right? I'm a bizarre human being. I know that. But the thing is that I get it in my head to play a certain amount of songs, or a certain, like 3 songs that, okay, I've been practicing these songs forever. I got them good. I want to play them now. And it's like, okay, but I also want to play these songs. It's like, yeah, but I want to finish those other songs first. But it's like, okay, well, you know what? The next time out, I'll play those other songs, you know? I love crossing things off of lists, you know what I mean? Saying, yes, it's done. Okay, good. And if you could do that, great. You know what I mean? So my goal is to, it's going to get a little bumpy here. And my goal is to, basically sing every song I've ever learned. You know, maybe not every one of them. There's some songs I'm just never going to play live. But I like to have a video record of me playing songs live. It's like, okay, I'm sick to death of that song, but I'd like to have it just so, I could see how the audience responds to it, because years ago, I played some pretty awesome shows, and it's lost, you know what I mean? Like, it's only, like, there's no record of it. And I think there's a specialty in that, too. But it's nice to be able to share, like, the digital age is that's one thing I do like about it, is that, like, you could document your entire life if you're willing to put in the effort, you know what I mean? But when it comes to the live shows and stuff like that, I just, like, some shows, okay, well, they're not as spectacular as you would like, but some shows, they are spectacular. When they're really good, it's like, I'm out here going, oh, man, it was so good, and you guys should have heard this, and should have heard that, and it was this, and it was that, and it's like, yeah, okay, buddy, you know what I mean? There's, no record of it, right? But now there's a record of it, and it's like, okay, well, it doesn't sound as good as it did there, but if it sounds good on the GoPro, it sounded really good there. Because the GoPro could only capture so much, right? But it does do pretty good. But me, it's the audience. It's all that. That's the parts I love. It's the audience getting into it, the audience enjoying it, all that stuff. Hello. Oh, we got an old car here. That is a very cool old car. Okay, so last week there was no place to park hardly at all. This week it's the opposite. So hopefully there's going to be a lot of people. You never know what you're going to get. I'm really hoping there's going to, like last week, or not last week, but the last time I came out, I can guarantee you there was probably 50 to 70 people out last time. But I think also too, maybe it's a pay week, maybe it's not, and what have you. Makes a difference, How do I always end up parking by the dumpster? I would really like to know that. I always seem to end up by the dumpster. Oh well, it's all good. That there, shut everything off. Okay, so anyway, 8:30, not too bad. So anyway, I guess just to finish up, so I got my mandolin right down there. I don't know if you guys can see it. You can tell the days are getting longer. Eh? We're almost at the solstice. It's oh my God, another 2 weeks. Today's the 12th, so basically in 10 days, the days start getting shorter again. Why did I have to bring that up? What a bummer that is. But anyway, I'm just going to go through this stuff. I'm going to go in there, see who's there, and yeah, it should be a great night, and hopefully the GoPro captures everything, and I'm hoping the audience is going to respond the way they normally respond to the mandolin, so I'm just hoping everything's going to go really, really well that way. So anyway, there we go. I'll let you know how it went.